Welcome back to today's Explainer, everyone. We have got an absolutely fascinating one for you today. We are breaking down one of the most drastic tactical paradigm shifts we have seen in recent years. We're talking about Liverpool FC transitioning from the highly controlled possession-heavy style of Arne Slot straight into the era of Andoni Iraola. And look, for Liverpool fans, this basically means one thing: the return of heavy metal football to Anfield. We're going to dive right into the data and the actual structures to see exactly how this works on the pitch. Here's our tactical roadmap for the Explainer today. First, we'll look at the overarching era shift. Then, we'll break down the defense, the midfield, and the attack. And finally, we'll look at how this system specifically unlocks Liverpool's star players. Okay, part one, the era shift. Slot to Iraola and the big philosophy change. Now, right out of the gate, we need to be clear that both of these are absolutely elite tactical systems. It's just a matter of evolution. Under Arne Slot, it was all about methodical control, right? Patient buildup, usually in a highly structured 4-4-2 or 4-3-3. He wanted to manipulate the opposition with these short, precise passes until a gap finally opened up. But Iraola, it's literally the complete opposite. His system is all about high-intensity, proactive pressing. It is incredibly vertical. It's what we call organized chaos. The whole point is to force the opponent into terrifying split-second mistakes. And to really get why Iraola manages his way, you kind of have to look at his playing days at Athletic Bilbao. He was heavily influenced by two legendary managers. From Marcelo Bielsa, he absorbed that crazy, suffocating intensity and relentless pressing. But from Ernesto Valverde, he picked up a real sense of pragmatism and positional discipline. So he's essentially mashed up Bielsa's absolute fire with Valverde's calculated intelligence. It's a pretty wild combo. So let's move on to part two, defense, structure versus aggression, and rethinking the backline. You really cannot talk about Iraola without talking about the hybrid press. Let's strip away the tactical jargon for a second. Instead of just running wildly at the ball, his team starts out in a zonal structure. They curve their runs just enough to block the central passing lanes. This gives the opponent a totally false sense of security, almost daring them to play short. But the absolute millisecond that ball is played out wide to a fullback, the trap springs. The whole team instantly snaps into an aggressive man-to-man press, basically using the touchline as an extra defender. And if you want to know if it works, just look at the numbers. 8.53. That was Bournemouth's league-leading passes per defensive action, or PPDA, under Iraola. To put that into perspective, opponents couldn't even string together 9 passes before Areola's guys were right up in their faces, breaking up the play. It is completely suffocating. This is where the defensive contrast gets really interesting. Slot liked to keep a super-structured zonal high line, the whole team compressed space together. But Iraola, he demands this really high-risk, high-reward aggression. If an opposing forward drops deep to get the ball, Iraola literally tells the center backs to break the defensive line, follow the guy, and man-mark him deep into the midfield. I mean, that takes immense bravery, an unbelievable work rate, and honestly, probably a lot of deep breaths from the fans watching. All right, let's dive into part 3, midfield, control versus chaos, the engine room. The contrast here is super clear. Slot used his midfield, usually a double pivot in a 3-2-2-3 shape, to totally control the tempo of the game. Short, precise rotations to bypass the press. Iraola, on the other hand, sets up a fluid 4-2-3-1, and he basically treats his midfield like a hunting pack. They aren't just out there to pass it around, they are out there to hunt the ball down, win it back, and launch an immediate vertical attack. And out of possession, the mechanics of this structural chaos are just elite, because they sit in a compact 3-2-3-2 rest defense shape when they actually have the ball. They are already in the perfect position to counter-press the exact second they lose it. The wingers squeeze inside, they form this tight pressing diamond, and it just forces the other team out wide into totally predictable areas. The result? They average a ridiculous 51.5 ball recoveries per game. They're smothering you before you even realize you've won the ball back. Okay, moving up the pitch to part 4, attack, possession versus verticality in the final third. Again, it's night and day. Slot's attack was practically a masterclass in patience. He relied a ton on wide underlaps, slowly dragging defenders out of position to exploit tiny spaces between the opposition's center backs and fullbacks. Iraola, he has absolutely no time for that. He wants to hit you immediately. It's all about chaotic, rapid strikes, capitalizing on quick turnovers before the opposition's defense even has a chance to set up. It really boils down to Areola's ruthless 3-touch verticality rule. It's hyper-efficient. Step 1, win the ball high up the pitch with that hybrid press we just talked about. Step 2, hit an immediate vertical pass forward. Do not pass it backward to keep possession. Just go. And step 3, attack the goal within 3 touches. It happens in the blink of an eye. And if you're skeptical about whether a rapid-fire 3-touch system can actually survive in the Premier League, well, the number 10 says it all. That's how many goals Bournemouth scored straight from high turnovers last season under Iraola. That was the highest in the entire division. It literally turns defensive pressure straight into a lethal weapon. This brings us to part 5, unlocking Liverpool's stars and looking at the new roster. When you look at the current squad profile, this managerial shift just makes so much sense. You've got Gravenberch and Soboslai as the double pivot engine, right? Both are completely elite when it comes to aggressive ball recovery and vertical running. Up top, you have Alexander Isak, who is incredibly dynamic and absolute dynamite in those fast break transitional moments that iraola demands. But the absolute game changer here might be Florian Wirtz playing as that fluid number 10. Wirtz is basically the ultimate problem solver for this system. If a team tries to press Liverpool high, Wirtz has the smarts to drop deep. That instantly creates a numbers advantage in the midfield to beat the press. But then, the second he gets the ball in the half-turn, he carries it straight up the pitch into the exact space he just left. He takes defensive pressure and instantly flips it into a devastating attacking overload. And honestly, the rest of the squad fits this blueprint perfectly too. Alisson is playing as the ultimate sweeper-keeper so that high defensive line can push way up. Virgil van Dijk is right there, commanding those super aggressive jumping center backs. Out wide, you've got new additions like Milos Kerkez and Jeremy Frimpong just bombing forward from fullback, while Diomande and Gumoha are hugging the touchline, providing this extreme wide threat that literally stretches the other team to their breaking point. So, I want to leave you all with a big question to think about. Is this brand of organized chaos the missing piece of the puzzle to bring the Premier League title back to Anfield? Liverpool has the roster. They've got the intensity, and now they've got a manager whose blueprint is custom-built to unleash them. It's going to be breathless, it's going to be risky, and for sure, it's going to be a blast to watch. Thanks so much for hanging out for today's Explainer. Keep a close eye on the pitch, because this tactical evolution is one you definitely will not want to miss.